Tonight, I would like to explain a very important item that we always discuss. Why it is difficult for us to attain the sainthood or to become an Arahant, if not to reach our final goal. We are doing a lot of good work, meritorious deeds. We try to avoid so many evil or harmful things. We try to lead peaceful, respectable life. We try to be religious. Even then, we can understand that certain things are obstructing, hinder our way for us to attain our final goal or sainthood. Because the aim of our life is to find out some sort of solution to get rid of our uncertainty in our life, unsatisfactoriness in our life, disappointments, disturbances, sufferings, worries, unhappiness. These are the problems we are facing in our day-to-day life. We devote our whole life. We do everything in every possible way to see the end of all these sufferings and unhappiness and disturbances. But it seems there is no end. Whether we are good or bad, whether we are religious or not, whether we are educated or not, whether we are rich or poor, no difference. Sufferings, unhappiness, disturbances, either internal or external. That is why it is necessary for us to find out some sort of solution to get rid of all these things which we don't like. That is called the final goal. That is called the aim of life. If there is any purpose, the purpose is to see the end of our suffering. There is no any other purpose. Of course, religions always tell us, if you follow this religion, you can go to heaven, you can go to Devaloka or Brahma world. There you can see the end of suffering. No more suffering. No more old age. No more sicknesses. No more death. No more worries. That is what you need. But you believe this because you like. But you never analyze and you never think whether it is possible. Is it possible for us to exist or to live in any part of the universe, whether in this world or in any other part of the universe, or in so-called heaven or paradise, or Brahma world? whether we can live forever without facing old age, sicknesses, worries, miseries and death. The only religious teacher who never agreed, who never supported this belief that there is a place for you to go and settle down to experience eternal peace or happiness without facing any of these problems. You may not like it because your idea is to find out a place where you can get rid of all these problems and also to exist. But these two things never go together. Remember, if existence take place, that existence take place due to the combination of certain elements, certain energies, certain forces. Otherwise, no existence. Either as human beings or devas or God or Brahmas. If those elements and energies are no more, there is no such unit or such existence, such a body. If they exist together, the nature of this combination is decay and changes, disappearance. Otherwise, no existence. Now, if you want to exist somewhere, you must be prepared for these things because they are natural. Changes naturally take place. If changes take place, decay is followed by. Then going on decaying. After decaying, disappearance takes place. This is the nature of existence. In simple language, the Buddha has explained this. Out of the whole universe, what he said? Uppado paññāyati, vayo paññāyati, titassa aññatatthaṃ paññāyati. These are the three characteristics of anything, whether it is human life or divine life or Brahma's life or any form of life. Subjected to these three characteristics. What is the first characteristic? Uppado paññāyati. Can see the existence, appearance. And then we have to analyze how this appearance or existence take place. There must be certain ingredients. Then analyze. You can see elements, energies, combination. Then vision appear, either as humans or animals or devas or Brahmas. If that object appeared as a visible object, then you can see some changes. How that object goes on changing. Earlier stage we say developing. Later we say decaying. Changes. Later or in the end, you can see that object which appeared, which changed, which decayed, disappeared, no more. So it does not mean that object completely disappeared. Because ingredients are still working, elements are still working, energies are still working. And again, another formation, another existence take place somewhere else. Remember, this analysis, this explanation given by the Buddha regarding all those living beings and things in any part of the universe. This is the nature of life. You don't like it because of your craving for existence. But you cannot maintain craving and existence and unchangeable, impermanent, eternal, everlasting. These things never work together. Religionists may come and promise to provide or send you to eternal life. You like it because of your craving, but you never analyze and try to understand whether it is possible or not. So, life is like this. Existence is like this. Whenever the water accumulated, after some times you can see some germs, worms, or fish also in the water. Whenever there is a jungle, in that jungle you can see certain animals. Whenever there is earth, you can see some plants, stones, rocks are growing. Whenever there is a life, there you experience sufferings, unhappiness, unsatisfactoriness. All these things are natural. Remember this. Then our aim is to get rid of all these things. To see the end of this unsatisfactoriness, we cannot maintain a physical body with the same ingredients, with the same elements, with the same energies. We had to reduce. So when we reduce, what will happen? We maintain pure mental energy. Elements, cosmic energies, and various other sources are not active now. Can reduce. When we attain the higher stage of Brahma world through our meditation, there we lead entirely different life. We don't use all the five senses there. We don't indulge through all the five senses. Because through their meditation, earlier they have control, reduce the craze or crazy attitude towards indulgence. Otherwise they never get the chance to be born there. Then they get the chance to lead very peaceful life. Our life is not peaceful because all the five senses are active. So we had to entertain. To entertain them, we become slaves to these five senses. Not only that, we commit a lot of bad things. Some are very cruel, very dangerous, very harmful, create sufferings, to indulge all the senses. That is why there is no peace here. But in first places, since they have curtailed, control their senses, since they are not crazy for these worldly pleasures, they can maintain very peaceful, contented life. But not permanent, because still they have craving for existence. Still they have worldly pleasure, craving for pleasure into certain extent, certain degrees, not eradicated completely. Then rebirth takes place again. That is the uncertainty of that life. So, through our mental purification, we can reach, or we can gain, or we can experience that peaceful life even before our death, not only after our death. We can have a very peaceful, contented, happy life. We can develop hopes, confidence, happiness in our life. Now we have no confidence. We are not happy. We have so many disturbances, worries, burdens, commitments. Then where is happiness? Simply by praying to any god or any Buddhas, you never gain this peaceful life. You have to cultivate it. You have to develop it. You have to work for that. You can worship anybody, no harm at all. But you have to work for that. This is the method introduced by the Buddha. So the main purpose of our life is to find out the end of our complaint. Every day we have more than 1,001 things to complain. Grumble, complain, accuse, because of our unhappiness. So we can stop all this nonsense when we develop our mind up to that higher stage. We are working for that. So this higher stage we introduce as Sainthood or Arahants. Why it is difficult for us to attain this? That is what I promise to tell you, to understand where the mistake is. Some people say Buddhism is out of date, too old, more than 2,500 years old. Therefore you cannot gain this by practicing, by following this religion. Some others try to introduce same Buddhism, telling us that your Sakyamuni Buddha or Gautama the Buddha is out of date, too old. He cannot do anything for you. We have discovered, we have produced new Buddhas. They try to introduce a new Buddha for you to find out your salvation. The Buddha says, whether the Buddhas appeared or not, if you follow this method, you can find out your salvation without depending on any Buddha, new Buddha or old Buddha. So the mistake is in you. Nothing wrong with Buddhism, nothing wrong with the Buddha, something is wrong with us. We have to admit. If we are not saints or Arahants today, that means still there are certain weaknesses, some mistakes and some pollutions in our mind. Nothing wrong with Buddhism or the Buddha. Some others have written books, Buddhist books, commentaries explaining. You see, up to 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, Arahants exist. And after 500, Sainthood or Arahanthood slowly disappear. Because when you study the history, Buddhist history, you can understand that Arahants could not maintain their sainthood or attain Arahanthood after 500 years. Although others claim that they are Arahants. Then they say, another 500 years, Anagami also started to disappear. That is the third stage of sainthood. After another 500 years, Sakadagami, second stage, also disappeared. After another 500 years, the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, also disappeared. That means 2000. So according to them, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta, these four stages say, exist only 2000 years. After that, ordinary Buddhist, monks and lay people remain. But they are not saints. They are not Arahants. But this is not the Buddha saying. Please remember. The Buddha did not say like this. Having seen, or according to the worldly condition or changes, the disciples have recorded in the commentaries. When you refer directly to the Buddha, what he said, now you can find. The Buddha never support this idea that Arahant can live only 500. When you read Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the last sermon, there you can see the sayings of the Buddha, what he said. Yava kivancha subhaddha bhikkhu samma vihareyum asunyo loko arahantehi assa. This is the sayings of the Buddha in Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Meaning, as long as my disciples follow the real Dhamma taught by me, so long this world will never become empty of Arahants. That means, if we really practice the Dhamma taught by the Buddha, forever Arahants exist in this world, according to the Buddha. So there is no time limit for them. When the societies, the way of life, religious way of life, mentality, character, behavior start to change, we go on changing religious way of life. We try to justify certain things which are not agreeable or cannot find in the basic teachings of the Buddha, which we introduce according to our normal way of thinking. And this is happening to every religion, whether Buddhism or Christianity or Hinduism or Islam. They are going on changing, but this is natural. That is how new concept, new belief, new ideas, new practices, they introduce as real religious practices. But we never think this is actually deterioration. declining. We create this according to our mentality. Now you can understand where the mistake is. So nothing wrong with Buddhism, nothing wrong with the Buddha. Something is wrong with our way of life. Certain things that we have accepted as truth or the facts or the reality or the Dhamma or religions are not true. That is why we cannot gain this final goal. In the Buddha's teaching, there are 5 hindrances which interrupt our final goal or sainthood. It is true. The first one is called karma antaraya. Antaraya means hindrances. The karma that which hinders, the karma that does not allow us to reach sainthood or the final goal. Then you can ask, Angulimala, who has killed more than 1,000 human beings, you know the story. If he can attain a saint or the Arahanthood, how can an ordinary karma hinder attainment of sainthood? The answer is, there are only 5 kinds of karmas that which hinder, but not all the other karmas. We can topple all the other karmas. We can overcome many of those karmas that we have committed if we are wise, if we know how to maintain purity, if we know how to develop our mind, if we know how to develop more and more fresh, good karmas, we can overcome. But these 5, let us use the word mortal. When you use the word mortal karma, easy for you to understand. There are 5 mortal karmas. That means no one can overcome. No one can topple them. You have to face the consequences if you have committed any of these. Beside these 5, we might have committed many other bad karmas. But by using our full effort, understanding, knowledge, good karmas, we can overcome it. That is how Angulimala had the chance to become an Arahant, because he has not committed any of those 5. What are those 5? Killing our own father intentionally. Killing our own mother. Killing a holy man, Arahant. Then there is another one that is only for the monks, not for lay people. Lay people can commit this, but it doesn't, they cannot create this karma as a mortal sin, become ordinary karma to them. But for a monk, this will become one of the mortal sins. That means creating disputes, misunderstanding, divisions of the Sangha community purposely. But if you do this, it will become an ordinary bad karma, but not a mortal sin. For a monk, it is a mortal sin. Then, the Buddhas, There's nobody in this world who can kill a Buddha. The Buddhas must face natural death. Many people tried to kill him, but they could not do that. But injured, bloodshed was there. So creating injuries or bloodshed, another mortal sin. So Matrugataka, Pitrugataka, Arahanta Ghataka, a saint. Creating disputes or the schism or divisions among the Sangha community. And bloodshed or injuries. The Buddha. No, you cannot do this now because the Buddha does not exist. If Arahantas are no more, then you cannot do that also. Very easily you can do only two things now. Killing your father and killing your mother. So if we have done this, you can do any amount of good karma after that, but you never attain sainthood or arahanthood within that line. After paying for what you have done, later you get the chance to come back. That's all. That is how the karma hinders the attainment of sainthood within this line. The second one is kilesa antaraya. Kilesa means mental impurities. Antaraya, hindrance. There are mental hindrances which interrupt, disturb our spiritual development. This is very important. Miccha ditti. Miccha means wrong. Ditti means views or belief. Wrong views, wrong belief, wrong concept. If we maintain such wrong and unwholesome concept or belief, then it is impossible for us to attain sainthood. It is mentioned that there are 10 very bad ones. There are thousands, but 10 of them are very dangerous. Miccha ditti. Natti dinnang, natti yittang, natti hutang. Natti sukata dukkatang, kammanang phalang vipako. Natti ayang loko, natti paraloko, natti mata, natti pita. Natti loke samana brahmana samaktata sampatipanna. Natti satta opapatika. 10 kinds of wrong belief. If we maintain one of these wrong concepts, we cannot gain sainthood or we cannot attain arahanthood within that line. First 3 items we can summarize into one. Offerings or giving or sacrificing or donating, contributing something for the benefit of others. There are 3 ways. That is why introduced as 3 items. Ordinary way of contributing something, or approaching, visiting them, if not inviting, and by performing some sort of ceremonies. 3 ways. But the idea is the same. If you say, there is no meaning at all, why should we give our things to others? We are going to waste our valuable thing that we have earned. So no point of giving or distributing anything. If you maintain such belief, you will never attain sainthood or Arahant. Because you maintain selfishness, very strong selfishness. Natti sukata dukkatang kammanang phalang vipako. This one is more dangerous. If you think there are no good effects for the good deeds, no bad effects for the bad deeds. We can do anything whatever we like. There are many people who enjoy their life, who commit evil. How can you say bad deeds create bad effects? There are many others who do a lot of good deeds. They suffer. This is their argument. If you maintain, whether they are right or wrong, if you maintain this belief, there is no sainthood, no arahanthood for you. Because it is very dangerous. No one can get a chance to live in this world peacefully because of this attitude. Because we have living examples to understand that it is true. Good begets good, bad begets bad. Even without depending on religion. Many people who have no religions also believe good begets good and bad begets bad. Natti ayang loko, natti paralo. If we believe this is the only life, hereafter or after our death, there is nothing. There is no such thing as rebirth, existence again. The very moment you develop this idea in your mind, you violate the morals and ethics and noble way of life. You can do anything. Because naturally, people try to keep away from bad things by maintaining belief that they have to suffer in the next life. If they have no such idea that there will be another life hereafter, they are not scared to keep away from any kind of cruel or dangerous thing. Again, those who believe that we never had another life earlier, this is the only life, suddenly appeared. Yes. When you observe how other religionists interpret this, according to them, we never had another life earlier. This is the first life created by a God. So this is the only life. We never had another life. And those who have no religion or no God also believe that this life come into existence accidentally, not planned, not arranged by anybody. So after our death, again all the particles disperse, disintegrate, and there is nothing. We have more than enough experience. How we maintain our way of life through the influence of certain mental habits, cultivations of our mind, and pollutions of our mind, how we experience many things in this life, connected to our previous birth. There is no any other explanation or answer. So that belief that we never had another life before our existence here, and there won't be another life hereafter. Both are wrong concept, wrong belief, because we have enough evidence. If we maintain such belief, we never gain sainthood or arahant. Natti mata, natti pita. Father and mother. If we think, why should we respect? Why should we look after or minister or attend to our father and mother? Why should we provide all their requisites? There is no difference between my father and another man's father. Why should I look after only one old lady saying, this is my mother? Or one old man saying, this is my father? This belief. Another wrong concept. Even animals, they do not maintain such belief, such ideas. According to their animal instincts, animal way of life, they have certain cooperations, understanding, unity among themselves. Their father and mother. As human beings, since our way of thinking is advanced, since we can understand many things which others cannot understand, to appreciate, this is under human dignity, human intelligence. It is under humanism as human beings that we have to respect. We are responsible for our father and our mother, and we don't like to see them to suffer. We try to relieve them from their suffering. So as human beings, we have to maintain. If we haven't got such feeling, then we are not entitled to cultivate, to develop, to attain our sainthood or the final goal. Natti loke samana brahmana samaktata patipan. There are no such people here in this world who are known as holy people, religious people, who are worthy of respect, worthy of honor. All are equal. Why should we respect to certain people thinking that they are religious or holy? Why should we attend to them and look after them, thinking that we can gain merits or blessing? But that is not the human nature. The human way of thinking is to understand who are worthy of respect, who are worthy of honor, worthy of offering. Because they can guide us, they can teach us, they can correct our mistake, they can show us the correct path for us to lead a peaceful life. They can show us the correct path for us to continue our way of life, life after life. Therefore, our duty is to pay our respect. Those who do not maintain such belief, deprive, abuse their spiritual development. There you can find some sort of a skeptical, stubborn, very stiff, very dry mental attitude. That is why it is difficult for them to attain Arahant. Then the last one is very difficult to understand. I really cannot understand why they have included this particular item as very dangerous concept. Natti satta opapatika. There are 4 ways for living beings to appear in this world. Andaja, Jalabuja, Sansedaja, Opapatika. 4 ways. Andaja, egg born. Birds, reptiles, snakes, all those living beings, they lay egg. One group. Jalabuja, womb born. Animals, humans, mother carry this baby for a certain period, then give birth. Another group. Sansedaja, dustbins and various other places where dirt, rubbish accumulates. You can see all sort of insects appear. Combinations of certain things and elements produce these living beings. Another group. So on the earth, of course we can see all these 3 groups. There's one particular group that we cannot understand. That is called Opapatika. Spontaneous. That means suddenly appears without a father or without a mother. No childbirth. Now then we cannot understand. A spirit, ghost, devas, brahmas appear in this world in this way. No mothers, they never give birth. Suddenly they appear, they exist for a long period, again disappear. Now this is their way of life. Since we cannot understand this, we reject or we deny. At once we can, how can? Because we do not know. Anyway, be wise. Don't reject at once just because you cannot understand. I also cannot understand. My question is, why they have added this particular item as a very dangerous concept to create a very bad karma? Now that I cannot understand. According to our mentality, understanding capacity, we cannot grasp, we cannot understand how it takes place, whether it is possible or not. However, if we think that is rubbish, how can be that? We don't believe that. Then it becomes a bad karma. I cannot understand. I don't agree with this. Hold on for the time being. Later we may get better ideas, I think. So, the mental impurities just now I mentioned here. If we maintain any of those 10 kind of wrong concepts just now I mentioned in my talk, we never get the chance to become an Arahant. Must have clear understanding. Then the next one is Vipaka Antaraya. Vipaka means the result or the effect. Antaraya, hindrance. Some sort of karmic effect, karmic vipaka, hinders our spiritual development or the attainment of sainthood. Ahetuka, dvihetuka, trihetuka. There are three ways. All those living beings, especially human beings, belong to one of these three groups. Ahetuka, unfortunate life due to certain bad karmas. Blind, deaf, crippled, mad. If life is born like this, there are difficulties, problems, hindrances for them to develop this. Because behind this there is a bad karma. So it will become a very big battle for them to cultivate that way of life to attain Arahant. And the other one is Dvihetuka, dullard, no understanding, no common sense, no knowledge. The mental attitude is very low. There are many human beings cannot understand. But they don't know why their mentality, their mind are like this. Due to the effect of certain bad karma. Some are very intelligent. If they are suffering this weakness due to certain bad karmas, not so easy to become an Arahant or saint. This is called Vipaka Antaraya. Karmic effect interrupt the attainment of Arahanta. So we do not know what sort of bad karmas we have committed. But we should not give up. Here we are talking only within this life. By knowing this weakness, then we can cultivate in the next life, we may get the chance. Here only within this life. Then, Upavada Antaraya, Arya Upavada. This, I think many people do not know this. If we accuse, insult, blame with bad intention to disturb the mind of a holy Arahantas by using abusive language, vulgar words, the effect of that karma hinders the spiritual development. There is very important point. We always say, it is impossible for us to forgive our sins. There is no such thing as forgiveness of sin in Buddhism. But when we come to this particular karma, remember, this is the only karma that we can forgive and forget. After that, no more karmas. Understand? Assume. You go and scold and abuse and accuse and blame an Arahant, a holy man. Later, you go and apologize. If that holy man also says, forget about that. No more bad karmas. Forgiven. Only this particular karma, but not others. Next one, this is for the monks. As a monk, if that person has violated one of those major precepts intentionally, it is very difficult for that monk to attain Arahantahood within that life. course, among those precepts, there are certain things they can overcome by observing certain other precepts. But there are few major precepts. If they have violated, what will happen? They lose or they miss the chance of attaining Arahanthood within that life. Of course, in the next life, quite possible. They can continue their way of life, their religious way of life. But in your case, although you have violated your 5 precepts, but when you study the life of Angulimal, who has committed more than 1,000, so those things are not very strong forces to hinder your spiritual development. If you have not committed any of those 5 mortal bad karmas, then you are qualified. Now, where is the mistake? If any of those mistakes or weaknesses are not available, then the answer is maturity, background, and all the necessary qualifications are not yet ready. When you study many of those stories in Dhammapada, you can see, after listening to 1 or 2 words or Dhamma, they have attained sainthood. But during their previous birth, they have prepared for this, their background. So very rich religious background, spiritual development is there behind. So easily they can attain Arahanthood or sainthood because of that. In our case, if we have not prepared earlier, it's not so easy for us to gain. We can develop our knowledge of the Dhamma. Through this knowledge, very easily we can prepare.